Yo! December 9th, Friday. It's the weekend, baby. It's a crispy, cool, low 80 degrees outside. Anyway, if you've ever seen Wrestling Over Everything being posted everywhere on the sociables, you'll understand this story is definitely Wrestling Over Everything. Hurricane Katrina, August 27th, 2005, we had a show in Summit, Mississippi by the infamous, everybody's favorite Colonel ran the show. Pretty decent talent on the card. At that time, I was doing pretty good, getting booked every week and traveling the roads. And one of my traveling partners, Joe Kane, we were pretty good friends, close. Loved each other's families to death. He decided to disrespect me and my family a couple years ago, and we've yet to talk man to man. But my mom always told me, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing. So I ain't saying shit. Anyway, he calls me that Saturday morning. He's like, what are we doing? I said, I don't know. What you think we should do? Do to get ready to close all the interstates. I said, we need to make a decision. He goes, I said, come on, let's go. No, we are not going. We're not going. Call him and tell him we're not going. We got hurricane. I said, yeah, but it's supposed to make the curve. It's going to curve. It's not going to come to us. Let's play it by ear. So every hour on the hour, we had the same argument. We'd convince each other every hour. He wanted to go one hour. The next hour, I wanted to go. Vice versa. And then all the way to 1 or 2 o'clock, we had to make a decision. I ain't going. So he calls me. I'm dressed, come and get me. I was like, all right, let's do this. So stupid us, I go pick him up at his house. We get in evacuation traffic, contraflow, all interstates heading out of town. So we hit 55 up north on the other side of the interstate because, like I said, all the interstates, we are traveling north. There's nothing coming south. Everything's closed coming south. So we get to the building. Nobody's really talking about the hurricane. So we have the show. On that show, I think it was Calvin Rose and Monty Warbucks, the leading edge, against me and a guy named Bobby Lambert, who was from the area, who was like he had the people that were there to see him. He was the hometown hero. He did a football gimmick. He played for Liberty Football. And he wore that football outfit out to the ring or to tag with me. And at the end of it, I turned on him. Saxon and Steve Anthony came out to save, and then Joe Kane came out, and we wound up having another tag team. It was me and Kane against Saxon and Anthony. So it was a long night. Colonel Parker was paid pretty good, paid pretty well, and he always paid us with cash. So at the end of the night, he tries to hand us a check. That's a huge no-no in the wrestling business, especially the indie scene, because a lot of indie promoters are pretty shady. And we demanded him to go find us some cash because our homes are about to get destroyed. And the only cash that we were going to have on us was the cash coming from this show. So finally, he found the cash for us. And we got back in my truck. Now remember, we couldn't go south because everything's closed. So we started taking these back roads. This is, you got to remember, this is before Facebook. This is before smartphones. This is before getting on the internet on your phone. We had little flip phones that we played the little snake game on, and that's about it. So we had no way of knowing where the heck we were going. We took back roads. Finally, we found Covington, and Causeway was still open to come south. The Causeway Bridge, which is a 26-mile bridge over water. It was still open. So we trying to get back to the South Shore. So we finally make it back at about 2 o'clock in the morning. We are starving. And big things about wrestlers, when they're on the road after a show, you have to find something to eat because you're starving. So it's either Waffle House or some drive-through somewhere if you leave a show early enough. Well, this is about 2 o'clock in the morning. Everything we passed on these back roads, everything was closed. And we finally found a place near our house, believe it or not, open on Veterans Highway. It was a place called the Swamp Room. It was a bar slash restaurant. Sells awesome burgers. And so we sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning watching the news. And I'm like, yeah, it's supposed to turn. She's supposed to turn. 4 o'clock in the morning comes. We're drinking a few beers. Finish eating. She didn't make the turn that she was supposed to make. So we start panicking. Like, we are just sitting there watching. We completely stopped. Everything we were doing, just watching, didn't say a word. At the time, I don't know if y'all remember, a lot of the people might remember, I had the most ridiculous looking mohawk that you can ever imagine. At that time it looked good, but now I look back on it, it was horrible. But Joe looks at me and says, I think she's going to blow your mohawk straight. Because somehow it was always crooked. I'd always shave it crooked. I don't know how. But it was the funniest thing. And so we were like, all right, we got to do what we got to do. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm bringing him home. And if, Joe loves donuts. So Tasty Donuts was open. So we stopped at Tasty Donuts, got a dozen of donuts, sat there, ate the donuts while we still watching it. Brought him home. By the time I got home, it was probably about 5 o'clock in the morning. I didn't unpack my bag or nothing. I just turned the TV on, fell asleep. And my mom calls me at about 7 a.m. and she's ready for a fight because she knows I ain't leaving. So, and I'm scared. I answered the phone and said, hello. She goes, listen, I'm sending your kids home. You're packing your stuff and you're coming with us. We're leaving at 10 o'clock. I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, what? I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, I called you early because I thought I was going to have to fight with you for a while. So I started throwing everything in the back of my truck, took my kids, threw them in the back of my truck, the wife, threw her in the truck. And I was scared to death. It really was. It was a scary time. And I'm still thinking to myself, how stupid are we to get in contraflow, to evacuation traffic, to evacuate for Katrina, and then fight our way back. It was funny. It's definitely what's more important. That time of my life, wrestling, if I had a show, I made a show. So Hurricane Katrina didn't stop me from making a show. And everything worked out fine. The house is fine. Shifted a little bit, but it was okay. I spent 3 weeks away from my house. 2 weeks at a friend of mine, TK Riot, who the Iraqi man. I went and stayed by his house. Me and my wife and my kids went and stayed by his house for a week. And then 2 weeks at my friend Cody's house in Denham Springs area, Baton Rouge area. And we were finally able to come home. But yeah, that's my Katrina story. We got in evacuation traffic to go to a wrestling show, to take the long way home after everybody evacuated. So Sunday morning when we woke up, the evacuation traffic was pretty horrible by then because everybody got the same news that we did, that Katrina didn't make the turn that it was supposed to make. And everybody started panicking, trying to leave at one time. So it took, Troy lived in between Baton Rouge and Opelousas. And it's usually about a 2-hour drive. The 2-hour drive took us probably about 5 to 6 hours to get to him, which is awesome compared to some of the nightmares I heard of people trying to on the interstate for 12, 13 hours just to get to Baton Rouge or Lafayette. So yeah, another story for this week. We're about 9 minutes in. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my stories. The 23 years experience that I've had, I've got a lot of stories, and they're coming to me as I'm reading my book. So like I said, I'm going to jump around. Please share any of your wrestling friends. Like it, subscribe to me. Always post them on Facebook. So if you see it on Facebook, you watch it, share it. Somebody might like it. Peace. Later.